You know how we're always told to, like, hydrate with electrolytes, especially after a workout? We usually hear about sodium and potassium. But what about magnesium? Get ready, because today's deep dive is all about magnesium and its surprising effects on your body, according to this New England Journal of Medicine article you sent me.
It's true. Magnesium often gets overlooked, but it's a vital mineral that plays a part in over 300 enzymatic reactions.
Okay, before we go any further, can you explain what enzymatic reactions are and why I should care about them?
Um, think of enzymatic reactions as tiny factories inside your body, constantly building, breaking down, and transforming things. These processes are how your body gets energy, builds and repairs tissues, and basically keeps everything running smoothly. Magnesium acts like a critical worker on these cellular assembly lines.
So, no magnesium, no functioning factory workers. That sounds like a problem.
Exactly. And when those factories start slowing down, we see the effects throughout the body as fatigue, muscle cramps, and more. This is often due to magnesium deficiency, also known as hypomagnesemia.
And the article mentions this deficiency can be tricky to spot.
Absolutely. The symptoms can be quite general, easily mistaken for other issues. Even blood tests aren't always reliable because most of our magnesium is stored in our bones and tissues, not our blood.
Wow, so you could be deficient and not even know it. So, how do we know if we're getting enough magnesium? The article mentioned type 2 diabetes can play a role.
Yes, there's a fascinating connection between magnesium and type 2 diabetes. It all comes down to insulin, the hormone that regulates our blood sugar. Think of insulin like a key that unlocks the door for magnesium to enter our cells. In type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance can occur. This is like the key not quite fitting the lock properly, making it harder for magnesium to get inside where it's needed.
So, the cells don't get the magnesium they need. What a vicious cycle. The article also mentioned medications that can affect magnesium levels.
Unfortunately, yes. One example is proton pump inhibitors, PPIs. They're commonly prescribed for heartburn, but long-term use can interfere with magnesium absorption, kind of like putting a roadblock on that magnesium highway.
So, how do we ensure we're getting enough magnesium? Is everyone deficient? Should we all be taking supplements?
Before you run out and buy magnesium supplements, it's crucial to talk to your doctor. Supplementation isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and there are different types of magnesium supplements, each with varying levels of absorption.
That's right. We learned that some types of magnesium supplements are absorbed better than others. This article did a deep dive on the differences between organic and inorganic magnesium.
Yes, for instance, organic forms like magnesium citrate are absorbed more efficiently than inorganic forms like magnesium oxide. It's like choosing the express lane versus a congested back road.
So, even if you're taking supplements, you might not be getting the full benefit depending on the type. It makes you wonder what else we're missing about magnesium. What about the research on genetics?
The research on genetics and magnesium deficiency is quite fascinating. Scientists have identified specific genes responsible for transporting magnesium in our bodies. Mutations in these genes can disrupt this transport, leading to various health problems.
It's like we each have a unique magnesium blueprint in our DNA, and sometimes there are glitches in the code. What a wild world we live in.
It is fascinating. And while we've uncovered so much about this essential mineral, there's still more to learn about its regulation and impact on our overall health.
This is already so much to digest, and we've just scratched the surface. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a moment to really unpack why magnesium deficiency matters. I mean, we touched on fatigue and muscle cramps, but what other problems can arise if our magnesium levels are out of whack?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the heart of why understanding magnesium is so important. It's not just about those common symptoms we hear about. Magnesium deficiency can have far-reaching consequences, impacting everything from our cardiovascular system to our mental well-being.
Mm.
One area where maintaining sufficient magnesium levels is especially crucial is during pregnancy.
That's right. The article highlighted how vital magnesium is for both the mother's and the baby's health. What stood out to me was the connection between magnesium deficiency and preeclampsia. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Certainly. Preeclampsia is a severe pregnancy complication involving high blood pressure and protein in the urine. It can be dangerous for both mother and baby, even life-threatening in some instances.
That's scary. So how does magnesium come into play?
Well, while the exact causes of preeclampsia are still being studied, research suggests a link between low magnesium levels and an increased risk. Remember how we talked about magnesium regulating calcium in our bodies? Well, this balancing act is even more critical during pregnancy. If magnesium levels are low, it can disrupt this delicate balance within the blood vessels, causing them to constrict, leading to increased blood pressure.
So it's like those blood vessels are constantly tense, making it harder for blood to flow.
Precisely. And because magnesium is so essential for regulating blood pressure, it makes sense that a deficiency could contribute to a condition like preeclampsia.
It's incredible how this one mineral plays such a significant role. The article also mentioned magnesium sulfate being used as a treatment for preeclampsia.
Yes, that's right. It's considered the gold standard treatment for preventing seizures in women experiencing severe preeclampsia, or eclampsia. Intravenously administered, magnesium sulfate effectively lowers blood pressure and helps prevent seizures.
It's fascinating how something as seemingly simple as a mineral can have such a profound impact, especially during such a critical time.
It emphasizes the importance of ensuring adequate magnesium levels throughout pregnancy. And this goes beyond just pregnancy. While genetics can influence our magnesium status, our lifestyle choices significantly impact our levels.
So what can we do to naturally boost our magnesium intake? Tell me diet is involved.
It wouldn't be a health deep dive without talking about diet. Luckily, many delicious foods are rich in magnesium.
I'm all ears. What are we adding to our shopping carts?
Think dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, a variety of nuts and seeds, legumes, and even dark chocolate. And don't forget avocado.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. A shopping cart full of those sounds pretty good to me. I'm picturing a magnesium-boosting smoothie with spinach, avocado, and dark chocolate shavings.
That sounds like a delicious and nutritious way to start the day.
Right. Now, we've talked a lot about what depletes magnesium, like certain medications. What about stress? That seems to be a culprit for everything.
You're not wrong. Stress can wreak havoc on our magnesium levels. When we're stressed, our bodies release adrenaline and cortisol, those fight-or-flight hormones. Unfortunately, these hormones can interfere with magnesium absorption in our gut.
So not only do we not absorb magnesium as well when we're stressed, but we also flush out more of it. That's a double whammy.
Exactly. That's why incorporating stress-reducing activities into our routines is so important for maintaining healthy magnesium levels.
Easier said than done some days, right?
I agree. But even incorporating small stress-reducing activities can make a difference. Think meditation, deep breathing exercises, spending time in nature, or anything that helps you unwind.
It seems like self-care is a form of magnesium maintenance.
You could say that. Speaking of things that can impact our magnesium levels, it's important to remember those medications we discussed earlier.
Right, like those PPIs for heartburn. That's a bit eye-opening.
It's definitely something to be mindful of, highlighting the importance of open communication with your healthcare provider. If you're on any long-term medications, particularly those known to potentially lower magnesium, it's worth discussing with your doctor whether you should get your levels checked.
That's a good reminder for us all. It's always better to be proactive about our health. Speaking of being proactive, I wanted to touch on something else the article mentioned, the potential therapeutic applications of magnesium. It seems like there's more to it than just addressing a deficiency.
Absolutely. The potential uses for magnesium in treating a range of conditions are incredibly interesting. For example, it's being explored for its potential in managing acute asthma attacks.
That does seem like an unusual application for magnesium. How does that work?
It might seem unusual, but research has shown that intravenous magnesium sulfate can relax the muscles in the airways of the lungs, acting as a bronchodilator. This relaxation can make breathing easier during an asthma attack.
Wow, that's amazing. It's incredible how this one mineral can have such diverse applications in medicine.
It speaks to magnesium's essentiality in so many bodily functions. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I suspect we'll uncover even more therapeutic benefits of magnesium in the future.
Now, before we move on to those potential benefits, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll delve into more of those fascinating therapeutic uses of magnesium and discuss how we can all prioritize this mineral for optimal health.
And we're back, ready to wrap up our magnesium deep dive. I have to say, I'm starting to think we should give magnesium a superhero cape. It seems like this mineral is involved in just about every aspect of our health.
It really is remarkable how far-reaching magnesium's effects are. And as you mentioned before we took a break, there's growing interest in its therapeutic potential beyond just addressing deficiencies. Right. So before we send our listeners off on their magnesium-rich journeys, let's talk a bit more about those potential benefits we just touched on.
Certainly. Beyond its use in managing asthma attacks, which we discussed earlier, magnesium is also being explored for its potential benefits in managing mental health conditions like anxiety and depression.
Now, that's really interesting. I've heard whispers about that connection, but I'm not sure I fully understand it. How could magnesium deficiency possibly impact our mood?
Well, it comes down to the role magnesium plays in our brain chemistry. Magnesium is involved in regulating neurotransmitters, those chemical messengers in our brains that affect mood, sleep, and many other functions. One of these neurotransmitters is serotonin, often called the happy hormone.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection here. So if our magnesium levels are low, it could throw off the balance of these mood-regulating chemicals in our brains.
That's the theory. While more research is needed to fully understand this connection, some studies have shown promising results with magnesium supplementation in reducing symptoms of mild to moderate anxiety and depression.
That's fascinating. So magnesium could be one piece of the puzzle when it comes to addressing these incredibly common mental health challenges.
It's a possibility, and an area that certainly warrants further investigation. Another area where magnesium is showing promise is in supporting immune function.
Our immune systems, too. Magnesium really does it all. I tend to reach for vitamin C when I feel a cold coming on, but I rarely think about magnesium. What's the connection there?
It seems magnesium is involved in various processes within our immune system, including activating immune cells and producing antibodies, those proteins that fight off invaders like viruses and bacteria.
So if our magnesium levels are low, could that make our immune systems less effective at fighting off those invaders?
That's what some research suggests. Studies have shown that magnesium supplementation might improve the immune response in individuals with specific conditions, like asthma.
It's incredible how one mineral can impact so many different aspects of our health. It makes you realize how interconnected everything in our bodies truly is.
It's a powerful reminder that our bodies are complex ecosystems, and even seemingly small imbalances can have cascading effects.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of magnesium, what are your final takeaways for our listeners? What should we all remember about this unsung hero of the mineral world?
First and foremost, remember that while we've covered a lot of ground today, it's always best to consult with your healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet or supplement routine.
Excellent advice. Self-treating can sometimes do more harm than good. What else?
Think of your overall lifestyle as a key factor in your magnesium status. Incorporate those magnesium-rich foods we discussed into your diet. Those leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and even that dark chocolate.
Right. We can think of it as a delicious treasure hunt for magnesium.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the importance of stress management. Chronic stress can deplete your magnesium levels, so explore those stress-reducing activities that work for you. Whether it's meditation, spending time in nature, or simply taking a few deep breaths, find what helps you unwind and prioritize it.
It seems like self-care is an act of magnesium maintenance. What a great note to end on. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for magnesium.
I'm glad to hear that. It's been a pleasure diving into the intricacies of this often overlooked mineral with you.
And with you, our listeners, we hope this episode has inspired you to pay a little more attention to your magnesium intake and to prioritize those lifestyle choices that support healthy magnesium levels. Until next time, stay curious about your health, and may your magnesium levels always be optimal.